Hey, everybody. So today we're talking with a good friend of mine, Michele Bellisari from Real Broker. Michele gets 100% of her business from her organic content, her social media content, and agent referrals. So her content's attracting clients and also agent referrals. And today we're going to be picking her brain about what's working right now, what her strategy is moving into 2023. So we're talking about everything from Instagram to Facebook groups, to her podcast, to belonging, to niching down on all these social media platforms. I'm super, super excited about this conversation and this content creation in general. Michele, how are you today?
I am good, my friend. How are you? And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk about content creation and blogging all day long. And what I love is I do a lot of I do a lot of blogging and YouTube, and I'm kind of experimenting with podcasting and Instagram. So I'm super excited to kind of pick your brain about some of these more less commonly talked about platforms, like even Facebook groups. So
Yeah.
today should be a really interesting conversation. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at? Kind of where you're at in your career, that sort of thing.
Oh, so thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am with Real Broker as well. And my career, I've been in the business, it'll be almost 20 years
Wow.
next year. I had a pharmaceutical consumer health background. So did a lot with food, drug, and mass accounts for years, and then physicians
Hmm.
here in South Florida. I'm based in Boca Raton. I created a brand called #SoBoca about 4.5 years ago, and it's a blog, YouTube channel, Instagram. I leveraged that into a personal brand in the sense that people know me as #SoBoca. And, I am a mom of two millennials who I look at for inspiration. They're the ones who got me on Snapchat, and how I met so many of my friends in real estate that many of you know from Snapchat. And just kind of went from there. And I've never looked back when it comes to leveraging social media as far as getting found, creating relationships, and closing referral business from it. I like to blog. I love short form video. I've been doing that for a long, long time. Love going live, but I really like showcasing where I live here in Boca Raton in South Florida. Content's pretty good here, so it makes it pretty easy. I'm also a foodie, so my latest short on my YouTube channel today is all about stone crabs because it's stone crab season. So, but I mixed in the fact that I'm a real estate agent,
Right.
you know?
I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that content creation and content creators, this is the future of the real estate industry.
Hmm.
And there's lots of agents that haven't caught on to that yet, that
Yeah.
the cold calling, door knocking, that just can't compete with content creation. Just the leverage that we get with that, the relationships that we build with our agents. So the first platform that I really want to kind of pick your brain about, and it's the one that I'm terrible at, is Instagram. Yeah, I've only just got on Instagram really maybe a year ago, and I'm still kind of figuring out and experimenting. I'm having a lot of fun with the reels. But tell me, what is your overall strategy on Instagram right now?
Oh, Instagram. Gosh. Well, first of all, I love Instagram,
Hmm.
but I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. So I have two Instagram accounts. I have Soboka, which is my brand here. You can see the real estate on there. You can see the lifestyle on there. I talk about my new listings. I talk about lifestyle. Occasionally I throw in something about my brokerage because I do have realtors that are following me there. I have a blog, soboka.com, so I pull from that a lot of times. And then that way I can share that with the consumer. So this is more of a consumer site. My other one at the Michele B is more for realtor to realtor
Hmm.
conversations, but you kind of see I have fun with this. Um, as Instagram has changed and morphed, and let's just call it what it is, they're behind the eight ball. TikTok is kicking their butt. TikTok is a lot of fun, and it's easier to manipulate. And so they've come out with reels and different components to Instagram, and that's really where it's at, is the video piece of Instagram. So reels have great reach. And you can watch some really great Instagram coaches, like my friend Chelsea Pites, for example, who's brilliant with sharing different deep dives on how to really grow your brand and your reach on Instagram. And so over the years, I was able to learn different techniques, and they were rolling out things a lot slower when I was, really came on there. But at the end of the day, my favorite part about Instagram is, one, being consistent with it is going to get you the followers that you want, knowing who your avatar is, having an awesome bio that really like nails it so people know who you are right away, having a good username, making sure that people can find you and searchable, and having a great hashtag. I'm big on Clubhouse. Love, love, love it. And I used to do Instagram audits on there, and I'm like, you need a personal hashtag. So one, you can curate your own content, but so people know who you are. And Susie Sells Sarasota is not, in my opinion, like a great hashtag. You want something that's unique to you, because there could be another Susie down the road. But with that being said, there's a lot of caveats and nuances to Instagram, and start with understanding why you're on it, and know that like this profile piece is like your business card, right? And then everything else is to generate, conversations and relationships. And that's really, to me, that sums it up in a nutshell. To learn how to do reels, you just got to practice.
Right.
And as a midlife agent, I will tell you, if I can nail this, anybody can nail this. I don't use age as a reason why you should not be using these different platforms. You just need to figure out which one's going to work for you, for your business. And if you're not having fun with it, find a platform that you're going to have fun with, right? The biggest challenge with Instagram lately has been, I think they just don't know what they want. And it's confusing, and I think it's frustrating the users. Whereas if you go over to TikTok, the user experience is a lot easier, and I think just more fun, and the algorithm is just more fun over there. However, this is where you can repurpose things and get the watermarks off of your reels, for example, or download your reel before you put it out somewhere else. And you can repurpose your content. I'm the queen of repurposing it. To be transparent, came back from an epic conference in San Antonio with the flu. I don't want to do a video when I look like I have the flu. So I go back in and I repurpose and I share. So you have that opportunity to do that. And Instagram has so many neighborhoods. You've got stories, you've got the posts, you've got reels, you've got the DMs. There's so much that can go on. And in my opinion, and Gary Vee always says this, the magic goes down in the DMs. It's like being in the hallways at a conference. So you can send a voice message, you can send a video to someone that you want to connect with. Don't be a spammy person. Don't be selling all the time. If someone follows you, send them a message. Say, hey, thanks for following me. If you're going to do a post, set yourself up so that you're kind of pumping the gas a little bit before you do the post, so that people are already ready to see you. One of my favorite things about Instagram is going live, and going live with someone, because if you go live with someone, you go live with 4 people, that notifies everyone's audiences. So then you could potentially get new followers. That makes sense. So those are just a few little things for me. Like I said, I showcase, this is our beautiful, called now the Boca Raton. It's been the Boca Resort forever and ever. 26 stories, bright pink. Oh my gosh, what the scandal. They decided to repaint it a lighter color pink. So we were out on our boat. My husband's a sport fishing captain, and took us up to Lake Boca, which he never does, by the way. And we're like, well, I was like, let me get some video to show everybody, like, okay, it's still pink. It just doesn't look like Pepto-Bismol pink. People were losing their minds on Facebook here. Like, oh my God, they don't know. But yeah, but it's iconic. You can see it from everywhere, especially on a clear day. And fishermen use it all the time as a point, like when they're out in the Atlantic.
Right. So, yeah, you said something that really caught my eye, is that Instagram like is your business card. Like if you hand somebody a business card or get them to follow you on Instagram, you want them to follow you on Instagram. Yeah. That is so much more powerful. And that's really what got me to finally like, okay, fine, I'll create an account. Is people kept asking me, what's my Instagram? What's my name? And I was like,
on Instagram.
I don't really do anything on Instagram. But like now that I do, I can like, I have people that I met like a year ago at some conference, and they're commenting on my videos a year later, and I would have totally forgot about them if it wasn't for Instagram. So yeah, I think for that sense, it's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. And like I had a referral recently through a mutual friend of ours from Canada, which by the way, I'm Canadian, all of you Canadians watching on the replay. But I've been in Florida for 45 years. And it all went down in the DMs. Hey, meet Michelle. She's in South Florida. Hey, this is an agent in Arizona. And we closed the deal with her buyer in August.
Yeah.
All went down in the DMs.
That's great. Yeah. So you're saying you get a lot of agent referrals from the content creation. That's really interesting. What would you say your content strategy is for Instagram? Like I notice it's not all real estate. You're not doing tours. You're not talking about market updates. It looks like it's mostly like about Boca, and then every now and then you put in like a just sold, just listed.
Yeah, and my stories I'll talk more about real estate, but when I started So Boca, there was no real estate related. I wanted a creative outlet because I was very burnt out, and I got into like kind of had to pivot after the housing market. And by 2017, I'd gotten my house out of foreclosure and a few other things. And I was really burnt out. But I thought, well, let me do something more creative. And that's when I came up with doing So Boca, but it was started on Instagram. And we're foodies. And my daughter's a photographer, Hallie Alicia. I like to use a little humor. That was me getting ready for the halftime show for Super Bowl this year because, you know, that was an epic Super Bowl. Turn on the volume. You might be able to hear it. Yeah. I was getting my workout in because I knew I was going to be dancing around my living room like an idiot. But, you know, I try to let people see my personality, you know, and I think that's the number one thing that happens is that people see your personality and they go, I want to work with her.
Right.
You know, and she seems to know a little bit about real estate, you know. And what happens is people always say, we want to live in Boca. And sometimes they end up not living in Boca. They're in Delray Beach, Deerfield Beach, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm. I'm right in the middle. So it's a funnel for me. And with agents, I'm in a Sunbelt state, sunshine. Agents are always looking for a good referral agent in Florida. I'm in South Florida. That is at the bottom of the state, people. Just so you know, bottom of the state. I'm kind of an hour north of Miami and an hour and a half north of Key Largo. But agent to agent referrals are strong because so many people from the Northeast want to buy here. The state of Florida has no state income tax. So it's very, very attractive. We have a lot of tech companies moving to South Florida. It's just a very favorable business environment. And people do love what we have to offer here, the weather, the lifestyle. I mean, it's fantastic.
And so we got a question from Thomas. Thomas asks, how long before you switched full-time to lead generation via social media? That's a great question. Like if somebody has traditional lead generation and they start focusing on content creation, just Instagram, blogging, YouTube, this kind of stuff, like how long do you think until like they could realistically expect to get a full-time business just
I think it depends on what your content is going to be. I wouldn't give up your lead gen if that's working for you, but I would start adding in the social media and see where that takes you. That's a good blend, I think, especially if you're thinking of doing more creative content. I mean, I know you're one of them. There are some amazing YouTubers that just attract a lot of their business from that. I would say mine is a little bit from that, a little bit from this, a little bit like it all kind of comes together. Like I'll have people say, oh, I found your So Boca blog. And then I watched your YouTube channel and I noticed that you had some real estate on there and we want to buy a house. So it kind of like goes through a little pot, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for that question, I mean, I would say like a conservative estimate is like give yourself like 2 years before you have a full-time sorts of leads coming in from that. You know, I started making real estate YouTube videos in 2016. And you know, I've got like 5 years of YouTube videos that I've made, and like I can take my foot off the gas pedal now and just not even make YouTube videos and still get leads from that. But it takes time to build a lead generation machine like that, build a social media accounts out.
And you have to be active on your social media. So like, for example, you need to be watching out for those referral opportunities that you may see. That's why also too, um, making sure that you are massaging that agent to agent referral piece and having polls maybe in your stories.
Mm,
Um,
that's a good idea.
yeah, having polls. Have you thought about moving to South Florida? I never have a no in there. It's always like, oh, heck yeah. Yes, never like a no.
Yeah.
I don't give that as a choice, but that's a fun thing that you can do is just start a poll that way. And one of the things I did with my agent to agent referrals is I started a Google map. And so I have a link for that, and I'll put that out there to agents that I'm chatting with just in general. It's not like a massive blast, but I'll be like, hey, are you on my referral map? No, that's a good way to start building a relationship.
Oh, there
When
we
I
go.
talk to agents, one of the things that I do a lot of times is I have graphics with a Starbucks barcode on it, and it says something like, it was really great chatting with you today. Have a cup of coffee on me.
Hmm.
Whether I get the referral or not, I just think that agents, it's a nice thing to do, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into the next topic I want to talk about, which is what is your Facebook strategy? Because I know for me, my Facebook strategy is very focused on building relationships with other agents.
Yeah.
Is that the case for you as well? Do you get a
I
lot
would say I would say
of
so, yeah, again, because I have a couple of Facebook groups. I've got one that is women in real estate. Um, and I've got another one that I started after an event we did in Orlando. We did a No Agent Left Behind event in Orlando
Mhm.
in August. And we funneled everybody into, that's my hubby's boat. That's the hotel. I think it's still a bright pink there.
All
Um,
right. Yeah.
the boat,
Idiots. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah, can't miss that. Um, and so I started another group to collaborate with some agents that I'm working with. And so what we do is every Monday we do a mastermind call at 10 a.m. And so people are funneling now into that group. And again, agent to agent referrals, getting to know each other. Same with my women in real estate group, getting to know each other. By the way, that LSU flag was simply in support of Sandra Richard because I am a Gator. Just don't want any confusion there. Um, but yeah, I think the Facebook groups, you can really do some cool stuff because, like how we're doing this today, right? When we do our mastermind on Mondays, we stream it into the group now,
I love
and
that.
that's where you get to see it. So I think that makes a lot of fun. And Boca Raton Live Work Play, if what's cool about my Soboka brand is I have some real estate on there, and you can see it on there and it's very visible on there. But I talk again about the lifestyle. So right now, if you go to the blog, you'll see business is booming in Boca Raton. Thanksgiving is coming up. I have an annual Thanksgiving blog and an annual holiday blog that is evergreen. It took me a long time to kind of figure this stuff out, but I'm getting probably close to 12 to 13,000 views a month of the blog now, but
Yeah.
that took time.
Yeah.
I go, that's my YouTube because I don't get that on YouTube, but on the blog, I think because I like to write
Yeah.
and I just find it like, I don't know, it's just
That's
my jam. But I
that's
can
huge.
drop those links into Facebook. Whereas YouTube, I can't, but they have no problem with dropping a WordPress link at
Right.
all.
I generate about 50,000 views on my website organically a year.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. That's awesome.
I'm really happy with that. So you're saying you get 12 to 13,000 views a month on your channel. So you're getting 100, 130,
Yeah.
150,000 views a
Like,
year.
it just kind of like, and it's funny, I noticed it started to really happen probably about 6 months ago. Somewhere I think there's some backlinks that are jamming. Plus the content's I think pretty good. But one of the things I am doing, and you always have to look at these things, whether it's your Facebook groups or blogging, like what can you tweak? What can you change? Like, how does your Facebook cover look? what is the name of your group? Is it going to attract people? Like, does it actually say real estate in it? Or does it say what you want it to say? Is your content good? The good thing is my one group, the women in real estate group, I got a lot of content there that I can repurpose over to the new group that people haven't seen. So I'm going through, and you can schedule posts and whatnot. But again, having those conversations through the DM on Facebook and Instagram, I think are huge.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's a good segue into blogging, because that's definitely something I'm really passionate about. That's actually how I got into YouTube. I've been blogging since like
Yeah.
2011, 2012, and I started making YouTube videos after that. And I think that like YouTube and blogging go together so well, and it's very rare that I see people combining those two things. But I see you doing that. I see you putting your YouTube videos on your blogs, which
Yeah.
is what I do, and very few agents are doing. Let's talk about what's your blogging strategy right now. What's your kind of
So right now, okay, so like Ryan Storhant said, like I think it was Ryan, it was either Ryan or Justin Peters, one of them said, where I am today, it's not where you're going to be, because I've been doing this for XYZ amount of times, right? So when I started blogging, I had no idea what the heck I was even doing. Like, I've literally had to go through all of my blogs in the last year or so and just make sure they have some sort of structure to them. They've got the right H1, H2, the right keywords. And I think that's one of the reasons too I have more views than I have, because I'm doing it the right way. But it's right now, it's not easy to find stuff. So we are changing the theme of it so that it's going to look more like a magazine, and it's going to be very front and center, food and dining and travel and real estate. So it's going to be a lot easier to find. So we're working on that right now. But I just find the strategy is, I have my pillars of content. So there's real estate content, there's lifestyle content, there's food content, and what else do I have in there? Usually holiday content, because there's something every month. What I did do, Malcolm, is I had my virtual assistant work with me on breaking out every blog I've done. And with WordPress, you can download all your URLs. And we separated everything out under cities, under travel, under food, and like all the categories. So I can see where I'm a little short now. And I have a ton of things drafted, like for Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I've got one for Pompano Beach, all of that kind of stuff. But you're right. I started adding in Instagram and also YouTube and TikToks into my blog post, because I figure, why not? I don't think it's helped me a ton with YouTube, but I think it's because my YouTube channel I just don't have, and I'm going to have to talk to you off camera about what to do to get that going better. But I like the Google suite. I like Google My Business. I like YouTube, and I like blogging. And that's why I'm maintaining my Instagrams, but I'm spending more time on the blog and short form, like YouTube Shorts.
So I'll tell you one thing that you're doing right is putting the YouTube videos in your articles. And I'll tell you why. So on YouTube, they have a metric called your audience retention. The longer you can get somebody to watch your video, the better the algorithm likes your video. The Google algorithm has something known as bounce rate, which is essentially the same thing. It measures how long people are on your article. If they're on your article 10 minutes, that's a great signal to YouTube, Google, to keep ranking your video, or keep ranking your article in the Google search. And so if you can get somebody to your article and then they watch a 10-minute YouTube video on your article and they're on there for 10 minutes, that's a great signal to Google that this article is fantastic and it's going to help them stay in that search. And so what I do is sometimes if I have, like, you have a video like moving to Southwest Florida, let's say you have like 5 different YouTube videos on there and there's like an hour's worth of YouTube content that they can watch in that article. If people will sit there and watch an hour, like, that's fantastic for the Google algorithm. They love seeing people staying on your article.
I love that.
That's why I love putting YouTube videos in my articles. And for a while there, every YouTube video I was making an article to go along with it. Just like I see you have pros and cons of living in your area. That's fantastic. Whether you realize like that's what it is, but that's a fantastic strategy right there, kind of combining those two things.
So I've spent some time, you know, in the last, like especially right before COVID hit, I was reinventing some things. So now, so it's been interesting because I'm, as I said to you earlier, now I'm focusing more and more on production, whereas before I was kind of lining things up to tee them off and have more of a media strategy across the channels, you know. Um, I like to say, you know, I'm a midlife agent. Where I'm at in my career is different than someone who's maybe 3 years in, you know. So my priorities are a little different than someone else. I don't have a team, but I have support behind me, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the exact same situation. I'm a single parent to a disabled child. Like, I can't go around door knocking, and I can't spend
No.
cold calling, and spending all my time with these clients who are not really motivated. That's what I love about social media is like get that leverage. I spend a couple of hours creating content, and that
Yes.
content will generate me leads for years to come. Yeah.
So let me add to that, if you don't mind, because when I changed my strategy in 2011 and 12, my husband had had an accident. We were coming off of the 2008 housing crash, financial crash, and our house went into foreclosure. I think it went into foreclosure in 2011. And I was so burnt out. There were some other things going on. And, you know, agents don't want to talk about mental health. They don't want to talk about the struggle because it's so, hey, I've sold this much and I have this many units and I'm a badass. And you're just like, oh, it's exhausting. And then if you are not in the right headspace, it makes it hard to work. And if you're a solo agent and you don't have a team, that's a whole other conundrum. So when that happened to me, I definitely had the opportunity to go see Mike Ferry at his superstar event, got my mindset kind of back in track about be a listing agent. Okay, let me focus on listings. By the way, I was a first-time homebuyer specialist for years. I knew every ins and outs of it. So I love my buyers, but I was exhausted and burnt out. So focusing on listing niches that are untapped with motivated sellers became my jam.
Mhm.
So I started learning how to work with probate properties, which then led to seniors that downsize and the occasional divorce situation, because these are situations that no matter what's going on in the economy, right, they're fine. They're rolling along with those particular niches. And that's how I got my energy back and my zhuzh back for real estate because I was more at home working on my content strategy, talking about probate or talking about seniors, having my own networking events that I promoted on social media and through email and whatnot. And the memories are coming up on Facebook, by the way, which is really interesting. And I'll look at them like, oh, I remember that was such a difficult time, but look what I did. Look what I did. But I had help from friends. I had girlfriends who came to me and said, listen, we think this is a good shift for you. Here's what you could do. Here's what you could do. One of them was my lender. I was giving her 30% of her business. And when you have the listing, you're not doing that, but supported me. So the content creation that you do now, if you're struggling right now, look at those areas that you can list in a niche. There's like 25 different listing niches out there. And if one aligns with you, that's what you could make content on. And also, then you find your people because you could be a horse person or a fishing person or a golf person or whatever it is. Those are your people. They're going to find you and you're going to find them. Right.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, if you have a hobby, like I love to thrift and I love going to consignment stores and stuff, like you could literally start a Facebook group on something like that. Those are your people. You're going to be chatting about that all the time. Oh, by the way, I'm in real estate. I found some great furniture for you, you know, to stage your house or whatever. You know, like so many cool things that you can do with content creation on social media that then will tie back to, in my opinion, doing more on the listing side.
Yeah, I mean, everything is all about building relationships. So if
Yeah.
you can build relationships with people through thrift storing, like do it. I have a lot of people tell me that I should get into CrossFit because they get so much business from their
Oh,
CrossFit gym. If they're the only real estate agent in that group of 20
maybe.
guys, whatever, doing CrossFit, like you're building relationships. So you're absolutely right. Like equestrian or military or
Whatever.
whatever it is to kind of build
You
relationships.
can just become the go-to, and then that's your content.
Mhm.
And you do a channel on that specifically, or that's your content specifically. Like if you go on TikTok, you're going to see the content. And here's the other thing: look outside of real estate, people. Look at what content creators outside of real estate are doing, because that's where you're going to get your golden nuggets. Like, look at the makeup bloggers. Look at the content creators that are there. Look at what they're doing, and then go, how can I implement that in my real estate business where I'm giving value, I am a resource, and oh, by the way, I'm a real estate agent.
Right. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right that like mental health is a big thing in this industry, and it's so easy to get burnt out in this industry.
Oh,
Everybody just talks about numbers, how many transactions, what's your volume.
I
You
know.
know, Gary Vee has a rant about how we need to redefine the term success,
Yeah.
and if you can like just create content, sell a few houses a year, make 100 grand a year or whatever it is, and just be happy and content, like that's success. You don't have to push yourself to your limits and put these big numbers
Well,
up.
here's the better way to put that. When did it become shameful to do $10 million a year in business in real estate?
Right.
I mean, that's a huge number, realistically, for most people. What do they say? How many agents aren't actually selling? But yet, how many times do you get an email that says, "What's your volume?" before they want you to come speak?
Right.
Just
Yeah. I mean,
saying, So I think you have to own your success. I love Gary Vee. I got to see him at Agent 2021 in 2019 here in Miami. Got a picture with him. I said, Gary Vee, I'm a woman who's 55, and he turned around and goes, 5 is my favorite number.
uh,
And he was just awesome. But he's got a good point there. Like, success is what you make it. And look to those who are doing more than you for ideas and motivation, but that doesn't diminish your success.
yeah. I mean, how much money you make, like it's an option in this industry. I can chill and make 100 grand a year, or I could work,
Yeah.
12-hour days, 7 days a week, and make $500,000 a year. I just choose not to do that. Like for me, success is somewhere in between those two numbers, and just kind of like enjoying life and not stressing myself.
Yeah.
I
And
get
that's where
stressed.
content creation comes into play, because you've got a 24/7 content machine. And like I said, I'm the repurposed queen.
Hmm.
And not just my content. Sharing is, caring is sharing, sharing is caring. If you see agents out there that are doing good content, share it on your stories. Like, repost it. Do like a dual video on TikTok. Do a response video. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. If you can't get creative, maybe you're having a dry spell with it. Okay, look at one of my videos and say, I love what she's saying, and here's my tip on how, if you don't want to do video, here are 5 things that you can do. Because here's the other thing: you can tell people to do video, they may never do it. So instead of hammering that home, let's tell them, well, here are some other things that you can do to promote your brand: blogging, podcasting, um, a guest posting, being a guest on something. Like, you don't have to create that. There's ways around it. If you simply refuse to get on video and do it yourself, then bog off of someone else or use one of the other scenarios that I just mentioned.
Right. So that's a good segue into podcasting, which is something I'm really because I've got so many interviews like this, and I'm really like I want to put the time in to convert interviews like this over into podcasting. And I saw you speaking at the One Reel conference. You were on one of the panels talking about audio and about podcasting.
Yeah.
What's your strategy around podcasting? What's your podcast kind of look like right now?
So right now, I have 2 podcasts, and again, I am an empty nester. I do not have any kids at home anymore, although they're around. So my responsibilities are much lower than they would have been years ago. So I just want people to understand that I have my time is my own for the most part. But I've kind of mastered this down to like dumbing it down. I guess it's the best way I can put it, which is I'm not fancy. So I use the Anchor app if I'm going to do a solo podcast. I go back and forth between do I want to vlog my podcast, or is that just going to be more work for me? I will say that one of the things that I'm doing with the masterminds on Monday morning is I'm taking them and stripping the audio, and I'm putting that on my in the Hive with Michele B, which is industry related. This one here is my Soboka one. The last one I did was pizza, and the reason I haven't had a new one is I'm probably going to start doing some interviews locally at a podcast studio. But there's a lot of evergreen information on my podcast, and it ends up on Google. So I would say one of the things that I learned was just to have structure with your podcast and know, again, who your audience is. Well, I went to PodFest in 2019, and that's where I understood that my podcast was sucking eggs, and I had to figure out like how to make it better. Like when John Lee Dumas is up there, and Pat, I can't think of his last name. He's so good. There's so many good podcasters. And I'm like, okay, I need a better thumbnail for my podcast. I need to have structure when I interview people. So the thing about the local podcast is I think they're kind of hard. It's hard to get traction on that.
Right.
So one of the things I think I'm going to be doing is really converting that more to a foodie lifestyle kind of thing about South Florida, because that's really what I love talking about anyway. In the Hive with Michele B, my real estate realtor to realtor podcast, that's the one where I have some banging interviews. Like I've had Glenda Baker on, I've had Jesse Peters on, I've had Tamir Peleg on, our CEO at Real Broker. I've gotten some amazing realtor that you all know and like and trust. Lee Brown's been on, Chelsea Pite, Sue Picky Benson. I mean,
You haven't had me on yet. So
I know why. I have. You know what? I have the last interview I did was with Glenda, and that's pretty far back. But actually, why don't I have you on? That'd be great.
We're
going to have you on our. We want to invite you to our mastermind anyway. So that's already. And I do the scheduling for that. But with podcasting, a couple tips with that. They have the Anchor app. Just use that on your phone. Set it up. You can do.
I'm not familiar with that.
This is a little app called Anchor. And it's for podcasting if you want to do a solo podcast. Podcasts do not have to be long, by the way. I follow a lot of podcasters, particularly women. Women don't really like long podcasts, by the way. Women like shorter ones. So you could do a 6-minute podcast, you could do a 30-minute podcast, doesn't matter. I think that the role, like with podcasting, like anything, is just be consistent.
So this one right here, let's focus. There we go. Anchor, make your own podcast.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. And they have a website, and then you can download the audio, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of like, I would say, go on YouTube and look at how to do a simple podcast. Because you want to have a little intro, you want to have a little outro. I did learn how to edit video and audio in 2017. And I think that, makes it a lot easier for me. I don't have to like send it out if I don't want to. But again, it's just all these little touches, but I'm taking my content now and I'm really repurposing a lot of it. So it sounds like a lot, guys. It's not as much as I would, that it seems to be, because I'm starting to just repurpose so much of it. I will take our Monday morning mastermind, throw it in WeVideo. I strip out the nonsense stuff. That goes up into YouTube. I then add intro, outro to it. That goes over to the podcast.
Yeah, I've thought about just I probably get about 2 years of interviews like this with other real estate agents.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, why don't I just take the audio of that, set it up as a podcast? That's repurposing that content.
Why not?
Then,
people just want to have good information. They don't want fluff. They just don't want fluff, And that's why I said you don't have to have like a long podcast. You could have a a 5-minute, like I started with Alexa flash briefings. Oh, Alexa, I'm going to do it again.
Right.
And I was doing these flash briefings. So what I did is I repurposed them into the podcast.
There we go.
Like many moons ago. But I would go on and do, here's a quote of the day, and then talk about something that related back to real estate. They were short. I might go back to that because it's really easy.
I love it. All right,
Yeah.
Michele. Well, that was a fantastic interview. I got lots of value out of that. I'm pretty motivated to get on Instagram. That's the one I really got to focus on.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time today. If anybody wanted to follow you, where would they follow you at? What's the best platform?
You can follow me at Soboka on Instagram or at the Michele B on Instagram. You can subscribe to my blog if that's of interest to you. You can find me. I'm pretty much everywhere.
See, like that's so much easier than handing somebody a business card. Just follow me. All right. Appreciate your time. See you, Michele.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everybody.